This. Right, welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is part 6 or 7, I think, of the Harry Potter magical places and characters. This is a live stream with live peoples from all over the world, and it's recorded for YouTube and Ustream, and YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. Apologies for the croaky voice. I've got a new headset, but now I've got a croaky voice. I woke up with a bad cold, so I'm playing in this um, Hagrid's Cottage page. I think it's been about six hourly videos. Um, I'm still working with the Derwent pastel pencils, which I love, and I've got the greens at the bottom, and I've tried to keep them in order. I'm actually just going to build up a little bit, although I've got kind of a basic way round. I just want to build up a little bit of kind of there is a word for it where you put dark next to light. In faces it's called the Rembrandt effect. So his darks were very dark next to his very lights. But I don't know what it's called when it's a landscape. I can't remember. But there is a word for it. And what you try to do is to make a highlight or a lighter place pop out. You make just next to it very, very dark. I'm sure somebody might tell me what it is in a minute. So just bear with me a second. And that makes this pale here really kind of pop out. But I am actually going to put some darkers in that roof. I wanted to get the background because I like this dark bit here, but I wanted a bit more dark there. And so again, this is now going to become a little bit paler now. And the wonderful thing about the Harry Potter books is they give you a reference, a photographic reference. Some are actually paintings and some are photographs. So this is kind of the really dark area here. Sorry about the glare from that light. And then this becomes a little bit paler because it's opened up a little bit. And I would prefer that to be here. There seems to be kind of, I've forgotten a bit there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. And see if I can go over it. That should be really here. It's drawn in the wrong place. And I don't like it. I wish I could get rid of it, but I can't. I suspect somebody drew facing that way and then faced that way and drew it a different place, but I'm guessing. Or used two different photographs. But I might just do the background and then I'll just see what we can do with that. So I'm using, I'm just going to put some more chocolate. I've got one called chocolate, which is P590. And I'm kind of just going to build up some darker areas. And when you put a brown with a darker blue, you kind of get a warm grey. I'm not going to clean my little blender tool because I kind of want a little bit of grunge in there, like dirty paint water kind of thing. So we really want some dark down there so that will pop out. And again, perhaps that could be started with a bit more of a darker colour. And the sand green one is quite nice as well. Just that sure we know that there are definitely two trees there. Kind of give that a bit of a knock back, and that's just going to kind of make that in the background. And you can only do that with pastels, really, I think. So if anybody's got any questions, if you want to feed the cat, do help yourself. Go feed the cat, that'd be wonderful. I have actually fed her a couple of times today. But rescue cats are just like everybody else. They're always starving. It doesn't matter what you do, she's always hungry. And then it was always a bit kind of dark at the top, and then have the light come out a bit in the middle. Seems to be kind of a bit more of a redwood than the others, but we can tone those down. Excuse me. There is a little bit of dust. Sorry about that. Coughing fit. There is a little bit of dust. And when you've got a bad cold, I suppose it would be worse. I'm just going to have to drink my tea. Sorry about that, guys. Just such a coughing moment. So I've put a little wet, damp baby wipe there just to catch the dust. um, so it's coming along. Coming along. I think come in frames, so that's okay. So go to the greens, and we'll just first of all I want that burnt ochre for all the branches. Sorry, one of them's woken up now. There'll be no peace today. I can't actually see the branches, so I'm a little bit kind of unhappy that. So we see these little tiny ones here that we were doing before. And if you want to go back over them, you can give them a little bit more if you need to. I don't tend to do too much if I can help it. So that looks like it's a tree, so I'm going to do those three, I think. And then this is the culprit, this one here. So those have got to be knocked back a bit, and then this one's got to be forward. Although I think this one's got to be a fair bit. So I think I've got all that. So start with the greens. I'm not doing the pale greens. The pale greens are for this bit. So in fact, it's the background greens that I want. So this is the palest one. I'm trying not to do this big area. In fact, I might actually just do all that pale while I'm here. And then it's out of the way, then I know everything else is. Get a very careful amount, because the more you kind of scribble, the more dust you're making, because that's all this is. It turns into just dust particles that you kind of smushing around. And I don't know why the cat wants to be so annoying today, but she's got awkward head on as well. I really don't know why she wants to do this, but she does. I think, oops, down here. You think we've got all that, so it's going to make a big difference on there. And break it up so it's not quite as boring. Um, just want to go back in it with that ochre just to lighten up. These want to be just kind of so it's going to be a little bit quiet today. So we need, and I'll need the browns for here. I'm just going to do them in the same way, and then I can darken them up or lighten them depending on what. Actually, I think I was doing that, wasn't it, down there? So if anybody's got any questions, otherwise it might be a bit of a quiet show today. Okay, so we want the excuse me. So if anybody's got any questions, pop them in caps. I think sometimes you can smush out things that you don't really want in there. So it tends to be a kind of 3 trees all together there, so that's going to be a bit of a excuse me. slowly changing. Put my glasses on and I can see. Oh, hi Charlotte. Hi Kerry Ann. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. It's a bit of a mishmash today. I'm finishing off the Harry Potter. Excuse me, the Harry Potter. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get my glasses over the headphones. The Harry Potter book, but I have got a bit of a cold, so excuse the silly voice. Just pushing in some of this colour, and then I can go back in and darken the leaves up a bit. Just wanted to make that's going to pop out that little bit. But then we didn't need the darkest backgrounds as well, so I didn't put any more colours into that one, did I? So we've got kind of this tree going on here, and then there's a tree behind, and then there's another one behind that one, which seems to be quite a paler one, so it needs to be a lot of pale in there. I think I'm going to put the very pale burnt ochre. I think it's going to go in this one, I think, because it's going to have all this highlight in it to make sure that one's actually standing forward. Oh, sorry, if you know sound, it might be me. Excuse me, it might be me. I keep turning it off. Have I turned it off? Turn it back on again. According to this, mine's on. It should be working. It's just I try to turn it off when I start coughing. And I'm not being very loud because it sets me off coughing. Is that better, Charlotte? I did turn the sound off for a few minutes while I had a coughing fit and finished my tea. So to get a rough idea of what we're doing. You can then start to make these trees kind of pop out a bit. And I did still like this. quite nice to sometimes put these back in, these kind of highlights. Is everybody else's sound working, hopefully? As I say, I'm trying not to talk too much because it makes me cough. It could be a very, very short show today. I've kind of mixed all the colours up a bit, but I've got a rough idea of what I'm doing. We kind of want some. Sometimes putting a little bit of still need some greenery in here because it is a forest after all, so we can't really get rid of all of it. There seems to be so hopefully excuse me, this is just the same as I was doing before, kind of filling in, and then we've got this tree in the background which wants to be darker but wants to be a paler tint because it's in the background, and that's strange because it's a darker, because it's in the dark forest, and yet you want it to be kind of not as strong a colour because it's in the background, and if you do it a very dark strong colour it'll shoot into the foreground. So it's a bit of a delicate mix, and you won't really know until you've done all the page, and then you have a look at it and you think, well, I need some more dark in there or a bit of pale in here, and you can then start to have a good play. But if I can now darken it up like at this side here, then that would be okay, I think. And because this tree is in the foreground, then this has got to be the nearest tree, so it is actually in the right place, and it's roughly about the right colour. I do like this behind here though, because you can tell that is behind, and then there's a bit of a light highlight, but that's the second stage of working on the actual picture. So we can go back with the greens again now. Did your sound come on, Charlotte? Charlotte, the sound's gone. Hope your sound came back. Myself in a pickle because I didn't put them back in order. If we've got the sound going okay. So this has been, it's fairly fast to work in. It's you've got to fill every available space with a little bit of colour. You still got to probably just going to put that piece of paper on there just to protect those. So I can take that down and then take that across, and then take that and then take that across, and that's just going to finish off that kind of edge. Need a bit of a highlight on that tree, but the other one we don't, and then need to get some kind of dark forest shadow back into there, because this is now going back into the dark forest again. So probably could build that up again to match. So we need to do something with this tree now, because it's become a bit pale and needs a bit of character now. Because it's the same tree, same leaves, it's just hitting light now where it wasn't before. So just a hint of every colour you've got of greens, just when you blend them, gives them a little bit of definition. And I've still got to remember that that bit over there is not blended in. And then we can kind of can work quite loosely with this. Then you can start to kind of finishing it off with the blending to make sure that they've all got that little bit of green. These look a little bit too scribbled now, because the others have got some quite nice detail on them. Got to be just a bit more blended in. And we could possibly have just knock that back a little bit so it's not quite in your face. have a little bit of light down there because there's a little bit of light filtering through in certain places, I think. Most of the time it's quite dark. See, so hopefully there we go. So, I don't know what that looks like. Oops, sorry. There's a little bit of light going on there, but I think we could possibly kind of smush that in. And sometimes a little bit of a blurred background indicates distance. Not always, but sometimes. So you can just really get rid of any particularly white areas. So I quite like that. I think I'm going to darken this one up with the dark background, just to make those branches pop that are sticking out, because otherwise it'll just be another just want to separate them so we know what's what up there. I think that one can just do with that little bit of dark. Just knock them back a little bit so we're getting back into a dark forest again, like at that side. So this can be a bit paler, and hopefully this will let that pop out and then let the other one kind of really pop out. So I will actually clean this blending tool this time, because I do want those little pale ones to kind of sit out a bit. I think I'm going to have to do another section of actually setting it with watercolors. Sorry, setting it with water, I think, because it'll be another hour, I think. So it's quite loose in one way and then quite time consuming in another. Have you got any questions? So again we can we can think about these little spaces there now. And again, if you've got a little bit on the axe and you didn't want it, you could use the electric eraser just to take off. Oops. Because I think I might want a bit of a highlight on the axe. So the axe wants to be a bit of a grey colour. The trees are going to be the same kind of colours. Show you the twigs. They're going to be the same kind of colours. Because all things kind of cut off from here. Blending tool. And again, I can make that darker because I can make that go behind that one purely by adding dark. can go back in and do some more detail, but I could just get a general idea of what colours I'm going to use and then what's going to happen. So we can get some more. So we know there's always going to be darker in between. Just have to keep on adding until you're happy with it. And then when you've kind of got some kind of grass going on, but I think most of this is going to be quite kind of so again that's put all that behind that particular tree. So I like that colour, but I'll have a look in a minute, see if I can match the colour up. It needs a lot more detailed as the front, so I actually think there's going to be another video of this because it's just going on and on and on. Again, if you want the highlights on the wood, you kind of take so you can do all sorts with the eraser after you've built up some nice colour. I think this needs to be darkened underneath, and then we've got the fire, So just have to see how long that's been. Because I get carried away sometimes, so it could possibly. Let me just put something quite dark there. See the time. I can't see the time. Oh, wait a minute. Can I see the time on that one? Oh, it's just coming up to 56 minutes. So, yeah. Oopsie. So I'm sorry that the sound isn't working. I don't know what I've done. I thought I might have got it better, but I'm not sure now. So that's Hagrid's cottage, and I think that's the end of part 6. So I do need to do some more work into there and darken it up. So because it took a long time to do this bit, so all this bit needs to be as dark as that. Then the cottage the tree, and the outhouse will pop forwards, and then the dark forest will be a dark forest because of course that's what it is. But a lot of this would smudge if I didn't kind of do something with it. So on here I'm going to put kind of the shadows and the low lights of where things should be on the tree, and just knock that back just a tad, because I think those two should be forward, so this one wants to go backwards, and then this one could come forward a little bit with a bit more red. So on that note, because Toffee's having a bit of a whinge and a moan, I'm going to stop recording. So that's the end of the Harry Potter part 6 of Hagrid's cottage, which is coming along, but it's just taking a long time. So thanks for watching.